Morning, everyone.
No,
Welcome to the June 10th, 2025 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We are glad you are with us. For those watching online, we are also glad you are joining us as well. We'll begin as we always do with an invocation, and Charles Johnson, Reverend Charles Johnson, will lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Say good morning to everyone.
Morning, sir.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you so much for your kindness and waking us up this morning. Thank you for the agenda that is before this court, this community, and most of all before you. Help us to be good stewards of our time and resources and efforts. Bless our community, our county, our nation. Bless our family in LA and all that we see before us. Bless our surrounding neighbors who are still putting their lives back together during the flood, and pray for the Davis County for the tornado that touched down last week. So we have so much to be thankful for, but we're mindful to continue to give you the praise, the glory, and the honor. We ask all these things in our Lord and Savior's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend, as always. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Southard.
Here.
Magistrate Tompkins.
Yes, sir.
Magistrate Putman. Here. Magistrate Starks.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Gentlemen, you have before you the May 27th, 2025 minutes of the fiscal court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a solid agenda today, and we'll start with an update from the Henderson Homeless Coalition. Several representatives are here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think maybe I'm shrinking. That's not a good thing. What, Steve? Oh, thank you. That makes me feel better. Good morning. How are you guys this morning?
Good morning.
So in front of you is the fiscal year 25-26 city-county budget proposal for the Daniel Patino Satellite Campus here in Henderson. Does anybody have any questions based off of this budget proposal that you'd like to ask before we go over it? It's pretty cut and dry. As you can tell, it's cut right down the middle. Not many increases whatsoever. As you can see, we still have one case manager here, Miss Melissa Collier. We appreciate her hard work. She's done a lot this year. In this, first year, full year, a lot of work has been done in our community to combat homelessness or the beginning stages of homelessness. So what that means is that we have families that are living with other families that have gone in with friends. We have children that are couch hopping on a weekly, daily, unfortunately hourly basis. So Melissa's done a really good job of working with this community and the community partners. So looking at our case manager payroll, as you can see, that's $15,995.20. And then the case manager unemployment fees, that's pretty standard. That's state and federal dollars, $268.50. The FICA, $1223.64. And then the workers' comp, which is required, is $350. Both of these numbers, all these numbers are both city and county, by the way. And the community trainings and case manager trainings, we have at $2162.66. I want to talk a little bit about those trainings for a minute, if that's okay. We believe, in talking with Harry over at Patino, that it's important that they go through trainings. They have to do HIPAA trainings, they have to do ethical trainings. There are some trainings that we have a poverty training that West Virginia and Kentucky do, and as most of you that have sat on any nonprofit board know how important getting those trainings are on a regular basis to stay updated on any state and federal rules or regulations that we need to have. Also, as we've seen here in our community, just within the last year, we've had some disasters occur where we've had to open up emergency shelters, and we have to have volunteers trained properly to be able to run those shelters if we don't have the right number for Red Cross to come in, because there is a number So Brittany and I were talking about that this morning, and I thought that was a really good point to make. Red Cross can't come in for 5 or 6 people. So we need to be able to provide something for those individuals to show them that we care and that we have resources available to them in their time of need and disaster. So I think that's important too, to state that we do want to do those trainings as well. Do you all have any questions about those trainings or anything referred back to this budget?
Do you have a pretty substantial list of people that's willing to do that?
So we work with Kenny Garrett in emergency management. We're trying to put back together the VOAD team. We do have members from our homeless coalition, which is a pretty good number of volunteers that are available for the White Flag. And now we're coming into the summer. Maybe we are. I'm not real sure just yet if we're going to have summer or if we're just going to have rain. But we do have a pretty good number of volunteers right now through those 2 avenues to cover those shelters.
Great.
Any other questions, maybe not related to the budget, that you might want to be informed on?
Do you have a little bit of data about how many served, things like that?
So we have served, I say we, but really Melissa and Jessica have done the work. Again, I appreciate that. They've served 502 individuals, and that is unduplicated numbers. That's a pretty good size amount. From January to May, the number of clients kept in their homes was 34, averaging around $38,587. So that is successful, in our opinion, at this time. So that's our data right now. We will be doing a H count, so that's the Henderson homeless count, which is different than the Kentucky count that we do in January in the middle of winter. So that's going to be anywhere between August and September that we'll run that homeless count. So we'll have some more numbers based off of that data that we collect. And that is going person to person, meeting them where they're at, having conversation if they're willing to have those conversations. Some are not, and that's okay. So we'll have some more data coming in the fall that we'll be happy to present to you as well from that.
Listen, to refresh my memory, I know we have students that could qualify as homeless because they don't have a regular. Are they in that count that they?
So if they are a student in the Henderson County Public School System, that goes through a different program that Casey Wolf oversees through the Henderson County School System, and those numbers and her program would have to be, she'd have to come in and speak on that. Now, Melissa could be counting them if they are part of, a family that she's working with. But I don't think, Melissa, is there anything you know about that, Henderson County students that that might be homeless with adults that you're working with?
We do have families that were represented in Casey. Also, we work hand in hand with Casey. Yes, so we work hand in hand with Casey. She sends us referrals maybe every other week, probably, and then we reach out to those families and contact them. And this 34, that's families. That's not individuals. I wrote that wrong. So there's a lot of more individuals in that 34 number. That's just families that we were able to keep in the home. And that was utility and rental assistance.
From time to time, you can't help to see, and it seems like I'm seeing some new faces that are homeless here in our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So it'd be interesting what that count looks like this year, And
I think that count will be significantly higher too than previously, just because Jessica and I are out and about, in the community, meeting them, developing relationships with the homeless, and they're not so sheltered or scared to talk to people because of the relationships that we've built.
Well, I'm always amazed, when they come into Salvation Army to eat, and you can talk to them, and they're content.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe they're homeless, but they prefer it. I guess they just don't like any kind of regimented lifestyle. They're just.
I don't know if they prefer it. I feel, when they're at the Salvation Army, they're able to be around people and their lifestyle. you hardly hear anybody complain in there. You know, they're all in there laughing, smiling, and I think it's because they're comfortable with the people around them.
Well, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
And I
could be.
think that it shows that people love them and care for them. You know, they're giving them food, they're talking to them, they come to their table and interact with them. Yeah.
But do you see a trend or two into why the number is perhaps growing? And is there something we can do about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Our the biggest trend that we're finding is affordable housing. The cost of living not staying up with affordable housing. Fair market rent, when that was put out, I believe for a one-bedroom in Henderson, it's a little bit over 1,000, correct?
It's like 1,100 now this year.
Gosh.
And that's an efficiency, that's not a one-bedroom.
And that number is not set by anybody sitting in this room. That number is set by HUD, and that is what a landlord is allowed to charge for an efficiency apartment in Henderson. It's about $1,100 for one person. So, I mean, if you put wages against that cost, you know, it just, and we are trying to combat it somewhat. You know, of course, this fiscal court is helping Habitat, you know, be able to build a house out in Corden right now. We've got another housing application open for a house in town on Lieber Street as well. So we're trying to build as fast as we can. So I do think our community has really noticed the issue, and we're trying to catch up to it. It just, unfortunately, it's going to take time.
And we're working really closely with Housing Authority too. We're able to help individuals obtain all their documents that's needed. There's a whole list, a page and a half, I think, of documents that you have to apply for housing. And if you don't have it, you can't complete your application. So we make sure all the stuff that is needed, all the documents that's needed or required to do the housing application is obtained, and then we make their appointment, and we take it all to them, to the Housing Authority with their appointment date, so that it can't be turned away or, you know, put off on another thing. So Housing Authority is working really, really well with us too, trying to get people in public housing and on Section 8.
And I do know, I'm not any particular numbers because I don't know those, but Josh Bell was in our Restore the other day, so I talked to him for a little bit, that runs the Harbor House. I do know they're trying to get very close to the end of their goal to do that expansion at the Harbor House as well, which hopefully will help alleviate and offer some more beds too. And I know the Father Bradley Shelter, Kendall, you know, works as much as she can. And her and Melissa and Josh, they keep relationships outside of the county as well. Evansville Rescue Mission, if they have beds open, they will allow us to use those. There's another place that is opened up in Evansville as well.
It's for women and children.
And Chief Bolin actually went with Melissa and I believe Kendall over to visit that facility. So we are trying to make some partnerships. We don't want our citizens to leave the community if they don't have to, but you know, if they need to just to get that housing for a little bit of time, then we're trying to build relationships while we're able to build, you know, more affordable housing, find more affordable rentals, things like that inside of Henderson as well.
Do you notice some of your contacts who are homeless but have full-time jobs?
Yes. We have homeless have full-time job. We have homeless that receive Social Security. We have homeless that receive VA benefits. We have homeless that receive retirement. There's, I would say, at least 75% of our homeless have income, but it's just not enough. It's not enough to pay like a deposit and rent and utility deposit and an application fee to get started. So that's what we're doing as well. We're helping with application fees for apartments or houses is an average about $40. So we have a little bit of money set aside to help pay for application fees, because if a person turns in, say, 4 applications at $40, $160, that's their utility deposit that they could have. So we're trying to alleviate some of that cost for them as well.
And we do want to say a huge thank you. That $38,587 from January to May that helped those 34 families, that money was secured by the Patino shelter, directly from their, what we call their home office in Owensboro, through grants and other things that they were able to secure. So we do want to say a huge thank you to them because they are trying to spread it out as far across the grad area as they possibly can. So that $38,000, if we didn't have this office here, those 34 families, we wouldn't have had any funds to really help.
And to piggyback that, that came from COVID money that we were still able to obtain. So if, or say, a family came in and they had already used their, they get 18 months worth of rental assistance. So during COVID, if they had already used that during COVID, they weren't eligible for assistance because they had already used their maximum benefit. So we had to try to figure out somewhere else to get that money for them.
And
But
that's
that
not-
was a very low number too.
And the 18 months is not a Patino rule.
No, it's-
That is a Kentucky Housing Corporation rule that's passed down to them because they're participating jurisdiction from the federal government. So that was a federal government rule for that pot of money. And as Steve Gold and I know from our research on other pots of money, they all have their own unique stipulations that if you take them, you have to stick to their stipulations. So just try to work it as best we can.
Any other questions?
So just a quick one, if I could. I hear a lot about homeless veterans. Do we have that situation as well, I would guess?
We do.
Would you say what kind of percentage, or?
There's not a lot of homeless veterans. I would say maybe 10%. It's a very low number.
And we do want to thank Melissa Clements, actually, because she actually got us a contact to the VA directly, and that woman either Zooms in to most of our meetings or attends most of our coalition meetings and has given us her card so that Melissa and any other agency in town that needs to contact the VA directly is able to, which has been a huge help because, you know, it's a lot of red tape sometimes.
And she comes directly to our office too. I don't know
Yes.
if you knew that. She's been there meeting clients that we have.
So one of the things, kind of back to what Butch asked, with you're working with people and wanting to keep our people here. Have y'all seen an uptick of people coming through? Because I seem like I see a lot more on the roads than I used to see. A lot more homeless people that's traveling through. I guess that you know, you kind of get used to seeing the certain people
Yeah.
all the time, and they're different now.
Yeah.
So is that number upticking?
The ones that are usually traveling through don't really want our resources because they're not trying to stay
That-
very long.
Right.
So we'll go out and try to talk to them, but they're kind of like, you know,
They're
we're
not-
just here overnight or, you know, type thing.
Right.
I don't think we've been able, the ones that are not familiar to us, yeah, they don't really want anything. To be honest, they want to hold us on to get money to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And on your question,
Oh, yeah.
and that's usually through the ministerial committee that does that. That's not through any of the budgets that you're looking at. The ministerial committee, which is made up of churches, they usually assist in that area. And back to your question, Butch, I believe the number last year, because I just had to pull this for a grant that Habitat did, I believe the McKinney-Venti system, which is what the school system uses, I think the number was 132 last year.
Yeah, I know it's a pretty good number.
Yeah, it always hovers between about 106, 132. The COVID number was a little off, of course, because the reporting was not able to be done at the schools when the schools were shut down. They were having to take a lot of information, you know, from families, and some didn't respond back in that year when school ended in, like, I think April or May. So that number kind of throws it off a little bit for the yearly averages. But I believe the number, it may be out now since school has ended. I'm not sure how long they take to scrub data each year, but.
I know it's substantial. I mean, really is.
Yes.
It was higher in Henderson County than Davis County, the numbers that were reported in that one, which surprised me, just, you know, Davis County being so big.
Hey, I got to ask this. The gentleman that's got the little dog and the wagon around town, have you ever talked to him?
We talked to him multiple times.
Yeah.
My
Never mind.
well, my
I have
honest
to.
opinion is he gets taken care of right there, and he says he has a place to sleep at night. He don't want resources, but you know they feed him there. They take care of his animal there, in that area, and I think that's why he stays there.
Yeah.
But yes,
He was interesting.
Yeah.
they do still make regular contact with him.
Yeah,
They
we
make
go
regular
and check
contact
on him
with
to see if we can bring him anything, or his dog anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think we gave you guys an update last time, but the person that was living at Community Park, they are doing wonderfully in their program still.
You know, you can see
We'll
them line up there.
updates,
There'd be
too.
2 or 3 of them right there at One Life Church, you know, underneath the,
Yeah, we went there and there was 2 women and him and the dog, and
yeah. That's
Yeah.
where I talked to him.
they were something else.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the 2 ladies, it didn't end so well for them, but they had some criminal stuff going on, so they ended up having to get
Hey,
that
well,
taken
thank you,
care of.
guys. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
And we do want to thank you all very much
thank
for
you so
letting us
much.
report.
So our initial agreement last year was for a kind of a one-year pilot, potentially 3-year commitment. And, you know, I think the first year has gone well. I think it's doing what we'd hoped it would do. It's identifying and then aiding the people who need it, connecting them to resources like we hope we do. So we have talked about going ahead and funding the coalition for the next 2 years, and just calling it even until, you know, 2 years are up. We kind of in agreement that's what we wanted to do. So approving $40,000 and saying, you know, report back regularly, but we won't have to worry about that for another 2 years. Anybody thought about that?
No, I think it's a great idea.
No,
Need to make a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'd like to ask if you'd amend the motion. We have a payment agreement we're still working on, but that is in the works for next meeting. Yeah. And, you know,
I amend my motion to include
Considering
whatever
we finished
payment
that-
agreement is in works.
yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
One question I have, how often do you just want us to wait 2 years to come back and report, or do you want a quarterly report?
No, quarterly report would be
Okay,
great.
just making sure I write that down correctly. I was like, I don't think,
Don't take the money and run.
We like seeing y'all's faces.
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you. I've got an appointment, a reappointment to the County Board of Zoning Adjustment. Herb Pritchett has served that body well and for several terms, and his is coming up again, talking with Dickie Johnson and Mr. Pritchett. They're both open to Herb serving again, and I agree with that assessment. So I believe that's my appointment, but I guess I'll need a vote to approve Herb Pritchett reappointing him to another term.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have in your packet a joint resolution offering support for the Earl C. Clements Job Corps Center. You may know that the Trump administration has announced cuts to many of the locations of the Job Corps around the country. I think there was a lawsuit filed that now has stopped that pending a court case. In the meantime, the Earl C. Clements Job Corps Center in Union County is on the chopping block, and 350 people work there, some of whom live here in our community. And Mayor Staton called me and thought it would be nice at least to lend our support to the idea that we'd like to save those jobs. Having said that, I know that there are people who are worried about the efficiency of Job Corps centers, the effectiveness of Job Corps centers. I can understand that. And I know a couple magistrates here have the same concerns about the efficacy of Job Corps centers. And then the only thing I'd say is I share those. I would hope the reform would happen and not simply ending the services for younger people and jobs that are important to both Union County and Henderson County. So I'm open to discussion about this joint resolution, at least offering support for keeping the Earl C. Clements Job Corps open. City will be voting on this tonight as well, and it's merely a letter of support.
You know, Judge, it's been there a long time. They've helped a lot of youth and young people out of that facility. I mean, I know a lot of people think might be a waste of money, but if you ever been down there, and I used to go down there periodically, and I knew some people that worked in there. And I mean, it's not to say that all of them are going to graduate or anything like that, but it does give you some idea that, you know, they're learning a trade of some sort. And again, I think it serves the purpose, a big purpose for a lot. I know a lot of the attendance down there is from out of state, you know, but still, I think if you're still catering to the youth to try to get them some sort of vocation, I don't think we need to look past it. I'm all in favor of this resolution.
I reached out to some of the people that work there, and there's some things that fell right in place with what our president's trying to do, which was he's trying to cut wasteful spending. And with some of the activities that were going on down there, and I agree with Butch, if we help a student, one is great. But I don't think that they're cutting it because they just want to cut. They're cutting it because of waste. There's a lot of waste going on in this organization that was well known. I've talked to employees and people, and I would like to think they'll come back and restructure maybe and open it back up once they figure out how to cut the waste. But I voted for that, just that, to start looking at government waste and trying to stop it, and I have a hard time getting behind it because that's the first time it touches me. I just can't do that. So, you know, I think that it's a good thing, but everybody can run a business better, and I think that's the approach that's taken. It's just we don't like the way the approach was taken. So,
Any other comments? I will say when I was at the Chamber, when I was president of the Chamber, we utilized a Job Corps program where kids in their business program, their business tract, would be delivered to our door because they were able to provide transportation, and they took turns over the course of 2 months acting as our reception and other duties as assigned, and at no charge to us. And with the exception of maybe one or two, they were all terrific kids, and they tried hard, and they were, you know, kids who needed the hand up. I was impressed with that, and I have no doubt that there are ways that the whole Job Corps system can be better. I have no illusions about that, including Earl C.
You know, Judge, we used them out at Sandy Lee Watkins Park to start digging the lakes, the first lake and stuff out there. You know, they run all the equipment. I mean, listen, they weren't pros.
Muhlenberg counties that came up and did that.
Yeah, you know, they're not pros, but they, you know what I mean?
So, again, it was probably one of those legacy government programs that maybe got a little wayward. I'm sure there's places they can do better. I'd hate to, my personal opinions, I hate to throw the baby out with the bathwater and in the meantime lose 350 jobs to boot. So
let me ask you this question. What good is this letter going to do? What good is this letter going to do?
What good does what?
What good does this letter do?
Oh.
What effect?
I think it merely sends the message that we understand that the challenge this might present for our neighbors in Union County who have already been through a couple tough months. And we just want to lend our support to hopefully the government will hang on and keep that center open. That's it.
Well, to go to the legislators, right?
Yeah, and send it to
Yeah.
the Kentucky contingent in Congress.
Okay, well, another couple of numbers more that stuck out to me on the research that I did, and keep in mind, I spent a fair amount of time over the course of, until 2015, when I started working in the capacity that I do now for AT&T, on site at Job Corps. They've got a 33% graduation rate. And again, it's not that I'm against it and what they do there, how they do it there. I mean, if we ran if I did my job at a 33% rate, I can assure you they would find somebody else who did that, to do that. This is not about the feelings. We all feel for that. But at the end of the day, sometimes hard decisions have to be made based on fact. And I think that's where I am with it.
Well, let me get clear on it. We're not against the checking out the waste. I mean, I think that's going to continue, you know. It's just to keep it in operation. There could be cuts. I'm not disputing that.
Well, we didn't make that decision, so what I'm saying, we can't change that decision.
No, but at least we can say, look, we're in favor of keeping the facility and open, then they can revamp or however they need to do to cut some of that overhead or to make it a little more successful. It's poor management. That's what we're dealing with here. It's just poor management down there.
Exactly.
But I think a letter of support, you know, doesn't have anything, you know, we just support that keeping that facility open. That's all it's saying. Am I wrong, Judge?
No, that's what.
So your support, my point here is, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm just telling you and everybody else that I cannot support. That's not even 50%. That's not even half doing your job. That's a third doing your job. So you're telling me that it's okay for us to say we support subpar? I mean, if we're truly talking about what's best for these kids, then we need to get better people in there.
I don't think that's what we're doing, because I think.
I think being in favor for it is showing that. So that's my opinion.
I'm looking at it through a different lens, I guess. I'm all in favor of being more efficient.
I don't think you can expect a graduation rate of high school.
I'm not looking for it to be that.
Less, you know. But
And I don't think it's the graduation rate as much as it's we elected a president and we elected him on the fact that, I mean, he was clear as day, he was going to cut government waste. And this is the first time that there's been a cut around our area, and the first thing we do if we jump up and squeal because it's taking something away from us, then we're part of that problem. It's unfortunately, these cuts are not going to be, nobody wants stuff cut. Nobody does. But we voted for it.
right. Now, I'd like to see it cleaned up and run in an efficient manner, but I feel like if they close it, it'll never come back, maybe. I don't know. We don't know.
I don't think that's,
Don't know.
and I don't know.
Yeah, well,
But I don't
we
think
don't.
that's the case. I think I think it's close it, revamp it, and maybe bring it back. But I don't know that. I mean, there's no way to know.
Well, if you don't mind taking a vote, I think we can just vote it, go ahead and move on here. So you have the resolution in front of you. You want me to have the clerk read it, or can we get a summary?
Summary
It's
would
up
be
to you.
fine.
It's up to
Summary's
you.
good.
Fine.
Okay.
A resolution requesting that the U.S. Department of Labor and the United States Congress reconsider the proposed closure of the Earl C. Clements Job Corps Center in Morganfield, Kentucky.
So do we have a,
One more thing, Judge, I probably need to disclose. My brother does work there. He's retired. He's fine. He don't, if they close, he'll be fine. He's the driver's ed teacher down there, so I just want to disclose that before I vote. So,
do we have a motion supporting the resolution?
So move.
Yeah, I'll second, but I also want to say, the people that attend down there, are the ones that go, they're not necessarily at fault for the mismanagement of that whole facility. So that it gets punitive, you know, for those people that's trying to learn a vocation because of something that the hierarchy has mismanaged. I mean, I'm all in favor of, you know, making.
And I agree with that, but it's the same thing as Alcoa mismanages, the workers are going to lose their job. wasn't any of their faults.
But same thing, that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
it's the same thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not
it's-
it's not necessarily the people that attend, that's who's really punished here, in my opinion.
To your point, Tim, if what was being proposed by the federal government was a elimination of leadership for lack of, good performance, if it was an elimination of certain programs that were underutilized or irrelevant, I think this would be a different conversation. They're talking about shutting the whole thing down, and in my case, like I said, that may be throwing the baby out with the bathwater when there's opportunities, I think, to reform it and keep serving people. I think if it truly closes, I would be surprised if it ever reopened. Anyway, my thoughts.
Just a question, and nobody might have the answer, but, I mean, the government got that property, in World War II. Now, does that property go back to the people that owned it?
No
That's
clue.
been in lawsuits since the 40s.
Been a pretty controversial thing for decades down there in Union County.
Anyway, Judge, I'm calling for the question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
So, motion carries. Thanks, that was a good discussion. I understand everybody's point of view.
And if I could just add, in my position formerly with the radio station, I had a chance to go to a lot of functions where culinary department from Earl C. Clements Job Corps Center, and also I've been there to the Job Corps Center when there have been some problems with discipline, and actually state police had to be called in. There was some issues, and unfortunately because of some of the people that are students there, they come in, again, from outside, and they bring their own issues with them, and there was some thefts and things like that. But really, to the person that I spoke with, and I would make it a point to say hi or, find out a little bit about them, they mentioned how that program had really started to change their lives, and that, more than likely they would be in a jail cell or worse if they had not had an opportunity to go to a program. And the thing we need today more than anything, I think, are skilled tradesmen. And that's what they teach down there. So that's why I just want to give you a little perspective on my vote. So now, is everybody going to graduate? No. They wash out, or they may get an opportunity to go somewhere and they don't finish up. So, if you've got an offer to go run a backhoe somewhere and you've got to go now, then, that could be a part of it too. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Next on the list, we got to go into public hearing about some things we have to take care of every year. Our budget and spending decisions that we made for LGEA and also county road aid. So at this point, I'll ask for a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And with that, I'll ask Brenda Ryder to come up. I think you need to swear in, Brenda.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge to help you out?
Yes. For the LGEA funds, Henderson County anticipates the receipt of LGEA Local Government Economic Assistance Funds for fiscal year '26 to be approximately $2,077,898. These funds will be used for general health, sanitation, public safety, social services, non-for-profit agencies, and events. The main sources of anticipated revenue for the LGEA is $150,000 from waste hauling franchise fee receipts, $600,000 from coal severance, $300,000 from mineral severance tax, $830,436 as a fund transfer from the general fund to the LGEA fund. Appropriations, while not all-inclusive, include the volunteer fire departments, the 911 communication center, landfill, Canoe Creek maintenance, the Humane Society, Senior Citizens Program, Boys and Girls Club, Human Rights Commission, Shelter for Women and Children, the Henderson Music Preservation, which is W.C. Handy, and the busing of parochial students.
So I will ask anybody from the audience if they'd like to make any public comment. I'll ask a second time, any public comments? One final time, any public comments? And next, County Road Aid.
For the county road aid, Henderson County anticipates the receipt of county road aid funds to be approximately $1,563,785. These funds are primarily funded by the state motor fuel taxes and should be used for the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of county roads. Distribution of the fuels tax is based on population, road mileage, and land area of the county. To receive these funds, the distribution will be 60% to be received in approximately August of 2025, 30 to 35% to be received January of 2026, and the remaining to be received July of 2026. Other sources of county road funds for the fiscal year 26 are from truck license distributions from the state and budgeted fund transfers from the general fund to the road fund of $3,690,478.
Hey, Brenda, just if you can, what was our road aid last, like 1 million, 1.2?
It was a little bit less, I believe it was 1.4.
Yes.
Okay.
Approximately. The 60% of this to be received is anticipated to be approximately $910,123. Henderson does also participate in the Emergency Funding Cooperative Program, which means that 3% of each one of these appropriations is retained with the state for emergency funding.
Which we have tapped into a time or two in the last few years. So with that presentation of County Road Aid, I'll ask anybody in the audience who'd like to make a comment about that. Second time, any public comments? Going 3 times, any public comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion to go back into regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We also have a funding request for the RDAP funds. Those are the TVA funds that are kept at the state for us that we can use for economic development related projects, and the improvement and widening of Sulphur Springs Road to support the Henderson County mine. We thought that was perfect time to utilize those funds. There's well over, I don't know, $300,000 to $400,000 in that fund now, if not more. And so the $263,806 we're asking from that fund are not close to depleting it. And there was some talk in the last legislative session from some members of the General Assembly about taking some of that money back because some counties were not spending it as quickly as they thought were necessary. There's some education, I think, in line with coaching up some of those General Assembly members about how sometimes you got to save up a couple years to have enough money to do certain projects. But leadership at CAECO encouraged us, if we had projects, to go ahead and spend it to show that it's useful. And here this one happened to pop right up, so it's a good example of one way we can use it. So we do have a resolution. Are there any questions about that?
No, I just, I didn't know that use it or lose it, you know.
Some of the
which
discussion.
which could happen, so.
Yeah.
And this is a safety concern as well as widening that road.
That's right. It'll benefit not only the traffic around the mine, but also just for the neighborhood in general.
Yep.
And it also includes a bridge at the intersection of Sulphur Springs and Wheeler Road, yes. Right there as well. So any questions before we read the resolution?
I think they're starting already working on it.
Nick said it has started. Now, as a reminder, this, and it says this in the resolution, but the money will come to the Industrial Development Authority we have. That's a requirement of the program. And the IDA has passed a resolution to this effect. We have concurrence letters from both Representative Payne and Senator Mills that we're required to turn in with the application, and we'll be sending it on shortly after this vote. So any other questions? I would like the clerk to read the entire resolution. It's not long.
Adoption of a resolution of the Henderson County Fiscal Court designating the Henderson Regional Industrial Authority special purpose government entity to receive Tennessee Valley Authority funds under the Regional Development Agency Assistance Program and authorizing the filing of a Regional Development Agency Assistance Program proposal grant application for up to $263,806 in RDAAP funds with the Department for Local Government, and authorizing the designated Henderson Regional Industrial Authority special purpose government entity to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Henderson County desires to promote and carry out economic development efforts and job creation activities on behalf of the residents of Henderson County by supporting the Sulphur Springs Road project, and whereas it is recognized by the RDAAP funds that available to the county pursuant to KRS Chapter 96 impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county and will require: 1, approval of satisfactory application to be transmitted to DLG for approval; 2, the designation of a special purpose government entity established under KRS 154.50-301 to KRS 154.50-346, and concurrence from the respective state representatives and state senators. Now therefore be resolved this 10th day of June 2025 by the Henderson County Fiscal Court that the following special purpose government entity is designated to receive Regional Development Agency Assistance Program funds. The name of the SPGE is the Henderson Regional Industrial Authority. The contact person is Missy Vanderpool. Their address 20 North Main Street, Henderson, Kentucky 42420. Phone 270-854-9455. That an RDAAP project proposal application on behalf of the county for RDAAP monies up to $263,806 for Sulphur Springs Road widening project shall be submitted to DLG. The county shall provide additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required, and the designated SPGEA shall act as the authorized correspondent for this project.
Any other questions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. As discussed, I think in the budget session, we last year amended our administration code for the amount of mileage we would make eligible for people to turn in, made it match with IRS regulations, the adjusted IRS rate. And along with that, we thought it would be good to change the current per diem rate for out-of-town trips to $40 per day, from $40 per day to the current rate set by the State Personnel Cabinet, to make that a little bit more consistent. You can recall that conversation. Any questions about that? We need a vote to change the admin code to reflect that alteration. And we have a little resolution, unless you want to read the summary.
Summary would be great.
Thank you. Anybody object to reading just the summary? No. Go ahead.
Okay, a resolution adopting amendments to the County Administrative Code to revise certain portions of the Section 9 of the code regarding the personnel policy.
And again, this is to reflect the state the per diem for our employees at the current rate set by the State Personnel Cabinet for them. So, any other questions?
Oh, just for clarification, again, this is something that hasn't been touched in quite a long time, so I think it's a good way to catch up and be more current.
I don't know, 20 years?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think the other benefit of this is by incorporating that Kentucky administrative regulation that the state reviews on a regular basis. That amount goes up and down based on like fuel prices, things like that. So they go out and they do that homework and research. So by adopting that, you don't have to go and do that every year and change this all the time. When you put a static number in there, sometimes it could be too high, sometimes it could be too low. So this keeps it at generally what the market rate's going to be.
Good point.
That doesn't affect the mileage, though, does it?
No. Mileage is a different rate.
Right. We're talking per diem for meals.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
So I believe we have a motion and a second. Can I get a motion?
Make the motion, please.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also, another thing we have to do every year is approve compensation for county employees and officers. You have that list in front of you. These can, some positions can change during the course of the year if we approve such, or if vacancies are filled, or promotions are made. But otherwise, we set the salaries at the beginning, for the beginning of the fiscal year, like this every year. Any questions about that? I'll have the clerk read the resolution. It's not long.
A resolution relating to the Henderson County Fiscal Court fixed compensation and reappoint county employees for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Whereas the judge executive is authorized to reappoint county employees with the approval of fiscal court pursuant to KRS 67.7107. Whereas pursuant to KRS 64.530, the fiscal court wishes to fix the reasonable compensation of every county officer and employee except those named in KRS 64.535. And whereas the statute requires that the fiscal court fix the reasonable compensation of all employees, even elected officials which are not specifically exempted. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson as follows. Pursuant to KRS 64.530, the reasonable compensation of all full-time, part-time, and seasonal employees of the county, other than those employees enumerated in KRS 64.535, is fixed in accordance to the attached list of said employees and their compensation, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein.
Get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we received notice that we have been approved for a Kentucky Pride Grant. Eric is with us, and we have a little business to wrap up to get that money, correct?
Morning, everybody. So we got approved for $118,998. $26,579 for a bigger industrial-sized paper shredder with a conveyor. What the hope is one, we're going to not have to empty the bag out every time it gets full, which prevents injury. And also the hope is to reach out to banks and stuff that do quite a bit of shredding to increase our revenue there with the bigger shredder. $36,950 for a new forklift. $11,840 for 3 large self-dumping hoppers, $18,135 for 3 low self-dumping hoppers. Those would be in the drive-through where all the recycling comes through. And then $25,494 for 3 30-yard open-top roll-offs, which with the additional roll-offs, that would give us a little bit more flexibility at the county cleanups, both spring and fall. And also if we have like natural disasters like we had with the flooding, it gives us a few more containers to be able to utilize. So these Kentucky Pride grants, we've actually been very fortunate over the last few years to receive substantial grants from the state. They not only benefit recycling, but they also benefit the solid waste part of it as well. Right. So definitely
good work, man. Thank you.
Yes.
We need a quick vote to both go ahead and accept the money from the grant and also approve this list of options we're going to spend it on.
I make the motion to accept the money and approve the list that Eric suggested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions of Eric? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have the coroner's report in front of you. Coroner Patterson, anything to add?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all?
Good, ma'am.
Looks like we had a little bit of a slow month for April, but, and we started off the month of June a little bit slow, but the last 2 days, we've had a couple calls, and we've had to go to Louisville 2 times in a row, so. So the guys have been busy. We still have several cremations that we do over and above what we take care of as our own cases. So are any questions about the numbers?
Oh, ma'am.
May every month you have be a slow month.
I know. We can only hope.
You have enough help from the deputies?
So far, so good. I still have an opening, and I'm maybe going to have that filled in the next week or so. That's my hope.
Anything else you need from us?
Not at this point. I don't think so, but I appreciate your all's support.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have the sheriff's report in your package. Sheriff Stoffer, anything to add?
Not necessarily the report.
Okay.
What I will share is a news release. If you're not familiar with what I'm speaking of, I'm going to read the news release that was sent out last night. Date June 9th, 2025 at approximately 7:23 p.m. Deputy involved shooting. At approximately 7:20 p.m., Henderson County Sheriff's Office responded to a family disturbance in the 100 block of 8th Street in Cordon, Kentucky. When the deputy arrived at the location, they encountered an individual with a machete. This individual was instructed to stop and drop the machete and continued to approach the deputy. The deputy discharged his less lethal taser, and the individual continued towards the deputy, who then discharged his firearm, striking the individual. The deputy provided first aid until Deaconess EMS arrived on scene, where the individual was taken to Henderson Deaconess Hospital. KSP arrived as well and is conducting an investigation. So,
I was able to speak to the deputy last night just to check in with him. I know.
well, good. So deputy is fine, but I'm not in a position to make any more statements with it being an investigation being conducted by the Kentucky State Police, but wanted you to be aware if you weren't aware.
Would you mind posting that release on your sheriff's Facebook?
I certainly will.
And okay.
I certainly will.
Any questions on that? Tough situation. So you also have the sheriff's report in your packet. I believe it's the normal monthly sheriff's report. Get a motion to
Move to
accept that.
approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Gold, your report.
I've only got two checks today. Interest $77.05 and a reimbursement from the state for the county $3,759.45, bringing today's total to $3,836.50, and the total for the fiscal year to date $257,298.34.
Get a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Call Treasurer Ryder back up for some transfers. Typical end of the year housekeeping here. And also any claims.
The transfers are as presented, and this is redistributing appropriations within the existing budget as we near the end of the fiscal year. Also, I do have one cash transfer of $32,603.51. This is to transfer from the state grants fund to the jail fund. This is to correct 3 months of electronic fund transfer postings, which include the months of March through May bank statements. And it represents Bureau of Prisons housing, which is electronically funded, transferred to the appropriate account.
Judge, I move to approve the transfers.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I do have claims from the general fund to the Kentucky State Treasurer, $28,407.27. This is for reimbursement to the state for 2 assistant county attorneys' fiscal year 25 salaries and fringe benefit supplements. The state pays these employees, and then the county reimburses the state for these 2 positions. This is from the assistant county attorney supplement appropriation line and is budgeted. Also to Brent Jacobs, $2,079. This is for remote access software renewal and is to come from the IT services appropriation line. From the road fund to Green Tree Plastics, $694. This is for an ADA accessible picnic table and is to come from the Parks Program Supplies appropriation line. From the jail fund to advanced document solution, $826.47. This is for the copier agreement and is to come from the communication equipment appropriation line. From the jail fund to U.S. Bank, which is the credit card, $2,232.21. The majority of this is to come from the building repairs and maintenance, contracted services other, and training, staff training, travel, and conferences appropriation lines. From the LGEA fund to the Henderson County School District, $24,234.52. This is for the busing of non-public school students for the 2024-2025 school year and is to come from the busing parochial students appropriation line.
I move to pay the claims, Judge.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody from the audience like to say anything for good of the county? It's hard to believe we have not heard from Nick Stallings this meeting. That never happens. And he's sitting back there looking forlorn. But it's good to see you're feeling better, Nick. Gentlemen, Me, I'll go around the horn. Start with Keith Berry. So put you ahead of Mr. Starks this time.
Yeah. Let me see your notes. Thank you, Judge. That's unusual. That wasn't prepared for that. Just thank everybody for being here. Eric, thank you for a good job. Good job. Nick was with me yesterday, or I was with Nick yesterday, looking at a project, and I called him. We got right on it, and we think we got a plan for that. Thank you, Nick. Sheila, thank you for a job well done. Brenda, everybody. See Miss Rainey back there, and thank you too. Thank everybody. And I think with the work in District 1, the road is good. Made a farmer happy, and that's always good. So with that, I think we're all good. And I'm sure Bill will talk about the down this.
Well, I'm gonna hold Bill off. I'm gonna go this way. Master Tompkins.
Just business as usual, Judge, trying to keep things going the right way and help our county, so nothing else.
Master Putman.
Thank you, Judge, and I can say the same thing about Taylor. What he's saying is that, we just need to keep our eye on the ball and do what's right for Henderson County, and it's a pleasure to work with all you guys and Nick and all of them. So, and all is good in District 4.
Man, pretty short. Master Southern.
I agree with that too. It's good to know that we can get up here and we can disagree, and at the end of it all, though, we're still a team.
Absolutely.
We stand for each other, and for our county. And that's good. It's okay to have different opinions. Eric, I appreciate what you do, man, because I call you for some pretty bad jobs, and you always are there. So I thank you.
Never complains.
Never. He just does it.
Agreed.
It's really nice to. I need some employees like you. And all's good in District 3.
Thank you. Mr. Gold.
Mr. Berry reminded me, he said he forgot to mention about both Murray State and Louisville being in the College World Series, and Murray State beating Duke handily a couple of times, which is a great thing. But still asking for continued prayers for some folks in our office that are facing some health issues coming up, and little grace for the fact that those of us that are healthy are kind of meeting ourselves coming and going, trying to keep up. There's a little blues festival going on down at the end of the park, end of the street here for the rest of the week.
Might have heard of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully going to be a good time. Hopefully the weather's good, and I know Henderson is always going to roll out the red carpet for all the visitors that come in, which is a good thing. And I was reflecting on the kind of what was talked about earlier, the ability to agree without being disagreeable is quickly becoming a lost art or even a lost value in our society. And I love that this fiscal court can disagree without being disagreeable and can have genuine discussions about things and keep things about the issue and, be high-level discussions. And I think that's something that could be emulated by other government bodies throughout the world and our country.
That's as much of a political statement as you'll ever get from Steve Gold.
And
But I
well said.
appreciate that sentiment, I do, and I agree. Now, Astrid Starks.
Ditto.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I will just say, I do appreciate everybody's point of view. We all have opinions, and that's what makes us great, is that we can bring different perspectives into a discussion. And I think one of the great things we did here today is one of the most routine things, though, is the setting of the salaries, because it gives us an opportunity to go back and look at all the people that makes county government work for the citizens. And there are some departments out there that have been short-staffed. They've made great strides in filling in some of those roles. There's still some that could use some help. And that means, if there's some vacancies out there, that means other people having to double up and do even more. So I just want to say I appreciate you, and I know this court as a whole is continuing to review our monetary situation so we can make sure we pay competitive rates, that we have a good competitive salary and benefits to retain and attract as much talent as we possibly can. So I think, again, it may seem mundane, but it's a very significant thing that we do. And I'm excited that we're closing out this fiscal year. We've only got about 20 days left, and we're gonna close it out in fine fashion. And it seems like it just went by in a blur. So. But due to again, the great work on our department heads, keeping everything within budget, I think we're in very fine shape. So just know that that's our main focus as a fiscal court, keeping, a watchful eye on your tax dollars, make sure they're going as far as they can. And any opportunity we can get grants, just like we do through the recycling center and the road department and others, that's what we're about too. So, enjoy Handy. Get out. It should be a fun time. Looks like the weather's going to be really good, at least up to maybe, Saturday
Friday.
seems a little iffy, but anyway, I try not to jinx it. And then also, if you can, I'll just put in a plug for the Salvation Army. It's not too late to get in on their golf tournament coming up Taylor's got his note there. So with that, all is good in the fifth. Thank you, Judge. Thanks, everybody, being here.
We had discussed perhaps recognizing the work that the Salvation Army does, including their role in helping us with natural disasters like we've had this January and February and March and April and seemingly every month, as well as the Red Cross of southwestern Indiana, which covers this region. I'm going to be working with Steve to make sure that by the next fiscal court meeting, we have a proposal for you to consider that stays within the letter of the law. We want to make sure we do that correctly. So just stay tuned on that. In addition to Murray State and Louisville, Henderson County softball team is playing in, I guess, what is now the Elite Eight or the Final Four. I believe they play Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So best of luck to Lady Colonels and the Racers and the Cardinals. I guess we can say good luck to the Cardinals here. Not a big deal. But to have two teams from the state of Kentucky in the College World Series may never have happened in the past. A little research on that, but anyway. To the
Back-to-back
point
championships would be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Huh?
Back-to-back championship would be awesome.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. To Steve's point and all your else point about disagreeing on occasion without being disagreeable and having an honest debate about anything is important. It's part of what we do. And Lord knows, we all understand that in the coming weeks, months, and years, we're going to be having a lot of debate about other issues. A lot of back and forth, a lot of considerations, lots of folks on one side of an issue or lots of folks on the other. But I have absolute trust in the ability of this group to wade through it as thoroughly as possible, to try to do the best we can for all the citizens of Henderson County as a whole, if that's even possible to do. And knowing that when you make tough decisions, you're not going to make everybody happy. But that's what we're elected to do, is to make tough decisions for the future, present and future residents of our community. So again, even no matter what the issue is, I think when something that's perhaps controversial or at least complex comes before us, I have complete faith in Henderson County Fiscal Court to do its very best and do it honestly and transparently. So that's a great feeling. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. I'm sure I'm going to see some of you up in Lexington at the Kentucky Judge Executives Association meeting. All in favor can leave.